cholesterol control, toxic metal syndrome, how to reverse bone loss, and the latest scientific research on vitamins and minerals. We'll have fascinating guests, and we'll take lots of your calls, too. So join us 7 days a week from 2 to 3 p.m. for Health Connection Radio right here on WNN.
What you want to know. What you need to know.
Talk 1470. WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Welcome to our show. You're listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, a place to learn about and celebrate creative arts therapy. Each week we'll explore new ways that music, art, and dance can reach, connect with, and help individuals of all stages of health and wellness. Hi, I'm Bree, Beynon, a board-certified music therapist and the managing partner for the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Tune in as I interview professionals from healthcare and educational backgrounds on the impact of the creative arts. If you prefer to watch our live video stream, simply visit www.pbmti.com. Hello, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon. I'm a board-certified music therapist and certified neurologic music therapist, and the managing partner here locally in South Florida with the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'm so glad that you've found us. I've actually heard from a couple people this week who have found our show, whether it was on YouTube or from someone sharing it, hadn't listened to it before. So I love hearing that in the community. Thank you so much for those who've shared that with me. You can expect to hear week to week a spotlight to be shown on someone who's doing something a little bit creative, a little bit outside the box when it comes to approaching needs in the healthcare and education community. And today is obviously no exception. In fact, couldn't be more at home with my guest today, one of my favorite people, a colleague of mine, a partner of mine, a friend of mine. Catherine Nielsen, founder of PBMTI and director of music therapy, is here with me today. And we're going to do something a little bit different. We're just kind of going to do an open panel conversation as it pertains to music and the brain, since we are in our third week of Brain and Alzheimer's Awareness Month. So as a recap, if you're just joining us, maybe for the first time or first time this month, we had the Alzheimer's Association on a few weeks ago, and they're great community partners of ours. We do volunteer work through the Alzheimer's Association. We do the Walk to End Alzheimer's. We've got that coming up this fall. If you are local in Southeast Florida, we have walks in Miami, Broward, Boca, West Palm Beach, and Treasure Coast. But wherever you are listening from in the U.S., there's a walk close to you. So you can go to els.org to find out more information about that. If you are local, we have some fun events coming up that PBMTI gets to be a part of again, which is so exciting. So we have a kickoff party happening next Friday at 6 o'clock at Downtown at the Gardens. That's in Palm Beach Gardens, right off 95, east off 95. You'll see Downtown at the Gardens there, Lake Victoria Gardens Ave. And we're going to have music provided by PBMTI music therapists, also partnering with other music therapists in the area to provide just kind of some guilty pleasures on acoustic to sing along to and have fun listening to. A fashion show, which I'm really intrigued by, excited to see. Some different sponsors there that are going to have tables to talk about services that they offer in the community. And then we're just going to be educating awareness about Alzheimer's disease and how it's affecting our community, how it's affecting us nationally, globally, and how we can be a part of the cure, which is really an exciting thing to think about. It's to build excitement as we head into the walks, which is our big event of the year, raising money that will stay locally to advance research efforts and awareness efforts. So if you are kind of intrigued about that, you maybe have a personal experience with Alzheimer's, someone in your family, someone you work with, or maybe just want to learn more about how it actually affects. Honestly, I doubt that there's anyone listening or watching tonight that doesn't know someone affected by this diagnosis, whether it is in your personal or work life. So if you aren't already connected to the Walk, to the Alzheimer's Association, I do encourage you to check that out. They're doing some really amazing things. this has been a tough week. It's been a really tough week. It seems like every day there's been something that's been kind of a challenge on our hearts. Certainly this weekend was difficult, and I don't know about you, but I woke up Monday morning thinking I can't. I cannot turn on the news. I cannot go on Facebook. I can't go to my Yahoo, whatever, and read one more negative thing. It's too hard. So myself and a couple of other music therapists in the area, we decided to put our energy elsewhere, and we have organized a benefit concert that's going to be held in Orlando next Saturday and of course, I'm going to forget the name of the church, unfortunately, right now. It's a Unity Christ Church, I want to say. I will follow up on that information. But music therapists and friends of music therapy from around the state are going to be traveling, volunteering their time to come to the church. Again, I will get you the address and the name of the church for that, who's donated their space to us, which is wonderful, to get together to share songs with messages of love and equality and pride, Broadway, classical, popular music, different styles, on guitar, piano, singing, poetry, to raise awareness, to raise love, and to raise funds that we'll be donating the proceeds of that to Equality Florida, which is a nonprofit that is a primary fundraiser for victims and their families. So again, I'll get you more details on that as they come together, but that is going to be next Saturday, June 25th at 7:30 in Orlando. If you have friends, family in that area, or you're in that area, you want more information, or you want to be involved in it, please email me directly, Bree, B-R-E-E, at pbmti.com. Bree, B-R-E-E, at pbmti.com. I'm happy to give you any information. This is a completely grassroots, Facebook-born volunteer opportunity. So if there's any support that you can give to try to make this a big event as possible, asking for a donation at the door, and also just an opportunity for people to come out and just listen to music and let music be the communication in a time when maybe there are no words. What can we say? Sometimes we run out of words to say to make this okay, to make ourselves feel better, and we can let music do the talking for us. So that is something that's coming up that I wanted to share with everyone. Again, we'll get you more information on that. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions. So again, today we're continuing our theme of brain Alzheimer's awareness and talking just kind of basically, generally, about music and the brain. Why does it affect us in all the ways that it does? We've spoken specifically in the last few weeks about the role of music in an adult day center, the role of music working with a dementia-specific group. Why does it help bring back those memories? Why does it help connect with the people around us? But it really is much broader than that. You don't have to have a specific diagnosis or that's in a neurodegenerative disorder. We can be just you and I, and music affects our brain. We know we experience it every day. We experience what it's like to have music motivate us when we use it to work out. What it's like to use music to relax us. Maybe it's certain music that we listen to before we're going to sleep, or maybe in the car. We know that it's going to be particularly stressful time to drive. What music is going to kind of calm us down? We use music in learning. Our guest is going to talk a lot about that today. That's one of her specialties is how to use music as an enrichment tool in an academic setting. And just no matter where we are, we're home, we're in a facility, if we're in our natural environment, we're staying somewhere a little unfamiliar, what our age is, what our background is, what our language is, what is music doing in our brain that is having this positive effect? So again, Catherine Nielsen is here. She is a board-certified music therapist, going to be sharing her experience, both personal and professional, and also will be joining the conversation because, as you may know, if you have listened before, this is a very exciting topic for me, as I am a little bit nerdy about the brain and how all this works and why music is so effective. And I'm certainly no expert on the topic, but what I know excites me. And one more plug, actually, since we're on this topic. If you are a music therapist, I will be presenting in Atlanta, Georgia on July 17th in a few weeks, a 3-hour CMTE course through the Metro Music Therapy Academy on this topic, on music and the brain, basically music and neurodegenerative disorders, specifically talking about Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, ALS. And so I would love, if you have any questions about that, also reach out to me, or you can reach out to Mallory over there at Metro Music Therapy. I'm thrilled that they've asked me to come speak there and offer this CMTE opportunity. So that's one more thing I wanted to shout out in my little announcements section today. I'm so thrilled to get to introduce you to Catherine. You can join our conversation if you have any questions or have any comments, have had success with music in your everyday life, or using it with a loved one or a caregiver, whether it's professional or you just stumbled upon something that was a really successful interaction. You can always call into the show, 888-565-1470, or reach out to us on social media. You don't need to be a music therapist to use music in a healing way. We're going to give some tools for that as well today. But before we continue the conversation, I just want to pause because, as I did mention, it has been a challenging week, and I do want to honor that. I do want to recognize that there has been a lot of things, especially if you are here in Florida. There seems to be something every day. So we recognize, as music therapists and just as humans, how powerful music can be at this time. And so I'm doing this for myself as much as I'm doing it for everyone else. I hope you'll indulge me and maybe just take a minute to just kind of sit and reflect. We talk a lot about mindfulness lately on the show, just kind of be mindful. And I'm going to share with you one of my favorite songs by Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah. I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do you? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall and the major lift, the baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty in the moonlight overthrew ya. Well, she tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throat and she cut your hair. And from your lips she drew a hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. I'm going to introduce you to Catherine Nielsen, founder of PBMTI. Stick around.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com. Engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944. You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm so excited to introduce to you my guest tonight, Ms. Catherine Nielsen, a board-certified music therapist and founder of Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. Thanks so much for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me here.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So I know you joined us back in November. It was a while ago when your dad was visiting, and we had a really cool show with him talking about his background as a family physician. And how he can see music fitting into the healthcare system, and what he's observed himself being a musician and obviously raising musicians. So he got to join us for that a little bit, and we kind of had fun jamming. But for those who didn't hear, if you could just share a little bit about your background, what brought you into the field, and what inspired you to start PBMTI.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town in Kentucky, in the Appalachian Mountains, and I actually brought today to the show an instrument from that area to share with you just for fun. But I'm from Kentucky. My parents are both musical. My mom was in music education. My dad was in medicine, but he always loved singing. And the two of them actually met through music, which was a fun story. My dad, as in biology major, took voice lessons, and my mom was his accompanist. So they met through music. So ever since I was young, music has been a big part of my life personally, and something that my 4 siblings and I have always enjoyed. So I grew up playing piano, singing, just as part of everyday life, and also learned violin later. So I always loved music, and I also loved working with people of all ages. So when I found out that music therapy was a profession, I was visiting colleges just out of high school, and I visited a school called Charleston Southern University in South Carolina. At the time, it was the only school in South Carolina offering music therapy as a major. And I happened to be in that area, visited the school, and they told me about the major. I wasn't seeking it out. So it was one of those things that the right place at the right time. Sure. It combined all my interests. So I took the intro class and really loved it. From there, I learned that my interest in teaching, my interest in music, in counseling, and medicine, medical field, all those various interests that I felt there was no way to find a major to combine those. There actually was, and it was music therapy.
And it's so funny because I'm sure as you felt and as I felt, like, what am I going to do? I don't want to teach. I don't know what to do. Everyone in this field that I interview and ask that question is the exact same answer.
Exactly.
So funny. And so you actually did the same internship that I did. That's brought you down here, right? Mm-hmm. At now Trustbridge Health, which again, pretty much everyone who sits in that chair also says. And from there, were you feeling called to go into private practice, or did you work in other areas first? Or?
Right. Well, I moved to South Florida from Charleston, where I was studying, and I came to do my internship, as Bree said, as part of our degree program as music therapists. We study a lot of music and we study a lot of of psychology, and we also do clinical work, which means using music in a healthcare or education setting, somewhere where there are music therapists working. That's part of our training as music therapists. So my internship, 1,040-hour internship, 6 months, was here in Palm Beach County. And I was here for 6 months, and now I've been here for 12 years. So that's also something, like you said, that happens to Floridians a lot. That we come for a few days or a few weeks and stay. So I did come to do my internship, a fantastic internship. It was Hospice of Palm Beach County at the time, with 10 full-time music therapists on staff, which is a pretty rare thing to happen, to have so many of us in one place. So it was wonderful to train there. And I just knew I wanted to do music therapy with people that are in this area. So I didn't have the original goal to start a private practice, but I knew I wanted to work with the people. So after my internship was over, for a few years, I actually worked in early childhood education as a preschool teacher, which is another one of my passions, because at that point I wasn't quite ready or sure I wanted to start my own practice, but I knew I wanted to work with all ages in music. So I did a lot of music when I was teaching in preschool, but I still really wanted to get into the field I studied to be in. So after 3 years of teaching, I started Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute with my first client in music enrichment at the preschool I had been working. They saw the value of music in teaching. Their curriculum involved a lot of music, and I did a lot of training with the teachers there of how to use music in a school setting to help the children more effectively receive the teaching, behave more effectively. So it was really something that was natural of using music there. And so that, I want to be clear, it was music enrichment was my first program, but shortly after that started working as a music therapist with another hospice in the area. So Palm Beach Music Therapy started because I was just ready to take the risk to work with the people that I want to work with in music therapy and do what I love to do. So it was really new to me at the time, and I've learned as I go, and have great people around me, and it's the best job. It's got to be the best job in the world, to use music to help others, to reach out to others, and also enjoy it yourself.
And you did that in 2006, right?
Right.
Our 10-year
Right. So this is the 10-year.
Yeah.
This summer, or this fall, I guess, will be the 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yes.
That's awesome. Very exciting. So I want to go back. I like that you made the distinction, because it is confusing if you don't know.
Right.
When you're talking about working in a setting with children maybe who are in a neurotypical school program, and, well, why would they need music therapy if they have music education? So just backing up a little bit, what would you focus on when you talk about a music enrichment program? How can music help enhance those learning goals, and also for children with exceptional needs as well?
Right. Well, I just love talking about this whole area of music enrichment and music and learning, because it's something, like I said, that I grew up with my mom in music education and my dad in medicine. Is something that was always very natural to me, but it wasn't until studying the science behind music and why it affects the brain that I really understood the depth of that. And there are a lot of specific reasons, research-based reasons, why music helps people to learn and grow and develop, not just learn, but also their overall brain development. So one of the reasons in the preschool setting it was so important, and is so important, is because from 0 to 5 is the highest rate of brain growth and development. And these students were all ages 2 to 5. So to me, working with that age group in an education setting is just, first of all, an incredible opportunity, because I also love teaching, but using music there at a time where their brain is growing and developing so quickly can be life-changing for them. And so, some of the applications of that, and what I mean by music enrichment is, most people are familiar with teaching music and teaching children how to play an instrument, or what a note is, or how to sing a note. This is different. This is not teaching music. It's using music to help them learn their academic skills and learn and grow and develop as a child at that age group. So music enrichment refers to using music and music games that they love and enjoy, and using singing, playing instruments, movement to music, to help them grow and develop and learn the things that they're there to learn at the preschool. So it's very much being part of a team. At the school, it was being part of what their curriculum goals are. We would learn letters, numbers, animals, colors with children that had trouble adjusting and were socially much more shy or withdrawn. The music would help bring them out. So these are a lot of things we learn in music therapy. But music education specifically has to do with music enriching the curriculum goals, enriching their developmental goals as far as their early childhood development in that really critical stage, 0 to 5.
So, like I was kind of sharing before, that the idea of music being therapeutic and benefiting us, our brains and our bodies, and that mind-body connection is pretty familiar to just about all of us. So for us who, grew up musical, got enrolled in lessons from a young age and stayed with that throughout our lives, we know that a lot of these are byproducts that we picked up along the way. I mean, how many friends do I still have because we met, in choir or whatever the social, interaction was that music provided, and again, who knows how it affected us academically when we were in school. So since we all understand the benefits of this, and many of us experience it anyways, what would you say would be the benefit of a music therapist being the one implementing this program?
Well, one of the reasons that a music therapist implementing it would be important is because the training involved in music therapy is more research-based. There is a lot of benefit in having a music therapist that can provide music enrichment training to teachers, for example. We have more focus on using music to address non-musical goals, basically. So it's very application-focused we would be able to have training in assessment, for example, where a teacher they would be incredibly trained and talented at teaching the students information. One of our skills would be assessing each individual child, which just means like an occupational therapist or a speech therapist would do a more in-depth approach of knowing what their needs are, knowing what their personality is, and then creating, from our music background and our music training, creating music interventions or music activities and find out instruments and songs that child would respond to. And in music enrichment programs, which we have offered through Palm Beach Music Therapy and offered training programs for teachers, usually it's in a group setting. There have been times where we do individuals, but usually it's a group. So that's another skill that music therapists are specifically trained in, is adapting the music for addressing multiple needs at once in a group. So our training is just more specific to addressing needs of individuals, whether they're one individual or they're a group of them. And also depending on our background of what clients we've worked with. For me, I'd been at the school. I know the goals very well developmentally. So from the teaching standpoint and the music, I have training in both of those. So for that reason, a music therapist is a great choice for implementing those programs because of our awareness of the individual needs of the person beyond just the teaching of information and the classroom management. It's deeper than that. It has to do with the psychology of the child and the brain growth and development, and then applying music to those specific areas.
And I know we've been kind of focusing on talking about children and early childhood and what that might look like in a school setting, but it's not just something that would benefit children. It's for everybody, right? So you mentioned a little earlier one of the main differences being that we're not addressing those musical goals that might be a part of it, if they want to learn an instrument, but we're looking at the non-musical outcomes. So you mentioned some of those cognitive outcomes. When we're using things for relaxation, maybe it's a physical outcome, spiritual, emotional. What if there's not like a need and it's just for wellness? What role would music play in that world?
That's something else that's just so exciting to talk about. And once again, like you mentioned earlier, music is something that every person has some type of connection to. And I think connection is one of the biggest pieces of why music is effective for health and wellness. Connection meaning human connection. connection to other humans is something that's essential to even survival. If someone is isolated, as you know, even as an infant, their brain growth and development suffers from that. If a child is isolated, if the patients we work with Alzheimer's and dementia are isolated and don't have a lot of interaction, the disease process is oftentimes much more severe. And with bringing social interaction and music into that and brain stimulation that the music creates for them, it can increase their quality of life so much. So that's just a brief description of one of the reasons that music is effective in overall health and wellness, is because music helps in human connection, which is something that everybody needs regardless of their age. Not only something that they need just to feel good or have friendships or community, but it's actually something related to their health that people need to have connection, need to have relationships, friendships, and that neurological stimulation that comes from connection with other people.
Connection, obviously, one of my favorite words. Name of the show. I mean, it's all about
Exactly.
It's all about the connections that we make at that basic level, and community. Another one of my favorite words that we talk about almost every week is just the importance of that, as basic as it sounds. We're gonna kind of get that's really general, or very very broad. That's something we can all relate to. We're going to kind of get a little bit more specific with some of the benefits after a quick break, a word from our sponsors, so stick around. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com, engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I am here with my guest tonight, Catherine Nielsen, founder of the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. I'm so proud to call her my colleague, friend, and just a wonderful human. So thank you again so much for being here and sharing your background, what got you interested in the field, and how you continue. Now you've been down here doing this for 12 years, you said?
10 in music therapy.
And 10 in music therapy.
Yes.
So, 10 years into a field, I'm now 8 years into the field. You gotta love what you do to stay with it. I didn't even really realize that. I was at a meeting yesterday, did a business meeting, and someone asked me how long I've been in the field, and I said 8 years, and they were like, wow, really? You must love it. I was like, I do. I really do. I didn't even realize that was a remarkable long amount of time to be in a field. So that was kind of cool to sit back and realize, yeah, I really do have it. How lucky are we, to have found this career? It's very exciting. So before the break, we were just kind of talking in general terms of health and wellness and how music affects the brain, the body, the mind-body connection. And we mentioned that it really can affect us no matter where we are in life, no matter our age and stage of illness and wellness, as you hear me say a lot. So just wonder if you could give some examples of throughout the life cycle. And we do at our practice here at PBMTI. I got the pleasure of working with little babies this morning, babies with Down syndrome and their siblings and their families. all the way through the life cycle, all the way through. We've got clients who are well over 100 and are having a great time celebrating those milestones and birthdays with us. So what are some examples that you see in your work of how music affects our brain throughout that process?
Well, like we were talking about before the break, music is something that reaches people, and it creates a connection, which is important no matter what age you are. So a few examples specific to music therapy that I've seen with young children. First of all, we'll start with the younger ones. There was one child that I worked with doing a case study, and he was diagnosed with autism. He was 8 years old, and I worked with him for about 6 months. And during that time, he was not able to identify emotion or express emotion at all before that. And he was withdrawn in the classroom. He was easily overstimulated, and the teacher referred him to music therapy. So I provided one-on-one music therapy sessions for him. And throughout the course of that 6-month time window, he was able, because of music, we weren't able to use musical instruments. That was too stimulating, but I would sing to him, and I would sing interactive games with him, and he would play if I was singing. So he would be standing in the corner of the room, and if I tried to speak to him, he would not come over or be close to me, or wouldn't want any human contact as far as with verbal prompts. But with music prompts, he would come over and participate in a game where we would pass a ball back and forth. And for him, that is groundbreaking, because that is the type of skill he needs to function well in his life, in his classroom and at home. So music, first of all, provided a door for him to interact at all and provide a prompt for him where verbal prompts or talking to him was not effective. And so singing to him to get him to engage. And then from there, once he started playing a game, we were able to sing the song and then pause the song. And I could put down a visual image of one of the emotions, a face, happy, sad, afraid. And so throughout the course of time, we actually incorporated the academic and emotional skills that he was trying to learn, where in a classroom setting, he was not able to learn that information or interact in a group setting. So that's one example of how a child that had a lot of trouble interacting socially and also learning academic skills in only a short 6-month window because of music, he not only would walk over and interact with a person, but he also learned 3 different emotions by identifying them, by pointing them, and also verbally labeling what those were. So for him, that meant everything, because it gave him a starting point to be able to interact with people in other settings, not the music therapy session. So that's one example of a clinical example of using music for a child that has a lot of needs to connect with people, and doesn't do that the same way that maybe another child would. But music was the bridge that allowed him to do that.
And I just want to, before we share another example, I just want to stop and point out something really important that you shared, which was how in the moment you had to adapt to getting rid of the instruments and just using your voice, because it was overstimulating to him. Now, as you know, I'm going to get on my soapbox for a moment here about licensure in the state of Florida, or at least a registry, something to regulate the field of music therapy. This is a perfect example of that. Yes, we're talking about all the benefits of music in the brain. We're talking about the brain. Like, the most important thing that we have going on, and it's just as many benefits as there are, music can be harmful as well. And people don't really think about that necessarily, because we just think about the positive effects. So I just wanted to point out how important that was, that because of your clinical training and your assessment, and the training and knowledge that went into creating these goals and objectives and these interventions for this child, you recognized where music was going to be a hindrance, was going to be harmful, and how to alter that. So I just wanted to point out that. And also talking about isolation with seniors, sometimes we think any kind of music is going to be wonderful, but maybe putting headphones on someone and walking away is going to be isolating for someone. And what do we do with all those emotions when they come back to us. That human connection is such an important piece, and such an important piece of everything we do in all of life, and just being aware of people around us and connecting with them. But as a music therapist, it's crucial. I would agree to that. So just wanted to point that out. It was a really great point that you made. I know that you've done a lot of work too with like camps, with kids camps, grief camp, or a caregivers youth project. And that's a range, kids and teens that are processing some pretty heavy emotions. Maybe can you give an example of those workshops and what you might address there?
Sure. Yes. The first example we talked about music in education. We talked about music in a clinical example of a child with autism. So we're going from younger to older. So the teens and that age group, we offer a lot of programs for teens that are in recovery. We also, as Bree mentioned, have worked with, and I personally worked with, children in bereavement who've lost a loved one. One of the important ways that music reaches teens is, once again, the bridge is the human connection, that they're connected to music, and also getting to know that child, no matter the age, or that person, and what type of music they respond to. Because like you said, Bree, some music may have an adverse reaction, and you have to be, when there's trauma involved, especially with kids that have lost a loved one, or have gone through some type of trauma or crisis, that's something you have to be very sensitive about, because they're dealing with a lot of emotions. A lot of them have not processed through those. So as music therapists, we talk to their counselors, and we look at the way they respond in a few opening rhythm activities, usually just to get a gauge for how they're responding, how they're processing their grief, and some general, non-threatening discussion to build that bridge. So what we usually do, for an example of kids dealing with bereavement, is I would bring in drums from all around the world and put them in the middle of the circle. So these kids from all different places do have something in common, that they've lost someone, but most of them don't know each other. So in order to get the group bonded and open the door for them to feel comfortable sharing, we use music to do that. And they will play the drums and express themselves on the drums without using words. We'll say, what would angry sound like? And they will play what they think angry would sound like. And then we'll let one child play an emotion that they have felt this week, and they don't tell us the name of it, and the group guesses it. So we slowly move to more clinical and more specific goals related to grief, and build that rapport with them. So music, the initial connection is, wow, there's an interesting drum, I want to play that. And so it draws them in, and then from there we can allow them to feel more comfortable sharing some of those difficult emotions, not verbally, but through music. There was one session when there was a boy who was having some behavior issues in the camp, and one of the counselors pulled me aside and warned me about that before, that he was having a hard time sitting in the group, having a hard time answering the questions, and they were letting me know to be aware of his behaviors, that he may have trouble being in the group or may need some redirections. That same boy, by the time we got through the drumming, and then we listened to several songs, popular songs that the group chose that were meaningful to them, and we had a sheet of lyrics printed out that they could read. That song that time was called Keep Holding On, Avril Lavigne song, and it says, keep holding on, I'm going to make it through, keep holding on, I'm here for you, and a lot of words that they would relate to. And during that song and during the discussion, he left the group, the same child who had been unwilling to share and causing some disruption to the group. He hid under a table and started to cry. And he really broke down. And for him, a counselor sat with him, and that was his opportunity to share what had really been going on with him, and shared in a very honest and transparent way. So for him, sometimes we think of crying might be a bad thing, but when it has to do with grief and loss, expression, self-expression really needs to happen, and children need to have a safe place to express that. So for him, the music was able to help him to get to the point where he was able to share and express the difficult emotions and feelings he was having in a safe way. And then after being aside from the group for a while, he rejoined the group and was part of what we call lyric analysis, discussing the song, and songwriting. Then each of the children came up with some of their own words to put in the song about their grief and loss experience and sang the song together. So that's an example of what a session looks like dealing with trauma, going from interactive music, loud, fun, drumming in the beginning, getting more specific to the emotions. Grief brings up is guilt, fear, anger, and we talk about those, to the music that they relate to, and listening to that music, discussing that music, making it their own. And for that one teenage boy, he was resistant to being at the camp, resistant to counseling, but during music, he was able to let go of that and be transparent and really share the hurt he was feeling, which is the beginning of healing for him.
Oh, it's huge. What a breakthrough. Absolutely. And just to kind of wrap up, because I know we want to get to some fun music in a little bit here, talking about just such important things that honestly we take for granted, like communication and the example that you gave with the young child you were working with, and the ability to identify and feel our own feelings. These are some things that some people don't have challenges with, and others do, and what a real way that affects them, and if music can unlock that for them, that's huge. That's really, really powerful. One thing, just on this topic, I work specifically with seniors, and one thing I really love about the work we do is it's not just one group fits all. We have groups that are specific to speech needs for individuals living with Parkinson's, a group that's for seniors living in independent living that want to just get moving, that want stimulation to get their bodies moving later in the afternoon. A group that's cognitive based for those with a dementia diagnosis that is specifically in the morning to get them up and moving and reminiscing and alert and aware of their surroundings, of themselves, of those around them, so they can head into lunch in a more positive and aware and alert way. And then groups at nighttime for those with memory disorders who have difficulty transitioning because maybe they're not sleeping very well at night, and that's kind of a scary thing to go into your room when you're not tired because maybe you slept all day, and how can music help to relax you at that point? So I love that. Honestly, I'm saying all of that to shout out to like our partners and our clients in the community for recognizing those needs for the individuals that you serve, and that everyone does have unique needs, and it's not one size fits all, and that really helps us, I think, as therapists set up a situation for success, because we're not worried about under or overstimulating people. Everybody there has a specific need, because we do oftentimes get called to do groups rather than individuals, and it's hard to find what to fit the need. So I think that's just a point that I wanted to make, because sometimes we do have the opportunity to work with individuals and can see some really amazing breakthroughs happen. But when we don't, it's important that we know that everybody is kind of going through a similar experience, so we know how to best help them. All right, the moment that everyone always is waiting for, sharing a music. You mentioned a dulcimer. I'm really excited about that. I don't know if I've ever heard anyone play a dulcimer before. So you're committed to it now. We're going to do a quick commercial break. When we come back, stick around. We're going to listen to some dulcimer. The Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute is a professional music therapy practice serving medical, community, and educational settings throughout Southeast Florida. With our experienced team of 11 board-certified music therapists, we use music and research-based therapeutic interventions to help individuals of all ages and abilities reach their goals and increase their quality of life. For more information on our services and programs, please visit our website at pbmti.com, engage with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or call us at 561-747-9944.
Mom's fall was a wake-up call. We knew she needed help, but we also knew she'd never leave her home.
With jobs and kids, we can't always be there. We weren't sure who to trust to help around the house and make sure she takes her medications.
We did our research and found our answer. Bright Star Care. Their home care teams are led by registered nurses, with help available 24/7.
Thanks to Bright Star Care, Mom can stay where she wants to be, at home.
For a standard of care that raises the bar, call 844 for Bright Star.
You are listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections, If you'd like to join the conversation, the toll-free number is 888-565-1470. Now back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're listening to and watching Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. I'm your host, Bree Beynon. I'm here with Catherine Nielsen today, founder of PBMTI, Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute. She's been talking about her personal passion for music, what brought her into the field, and like a really quick walk through all the ways that music can affect our brain, our body, our mind-body connection, how it helps us connect to other people. It's a big topic to try and do in a short amount of time. But we want to also include some live music examples, because the majority of the music that we are doing in sessions is live, so that we are able to adapt and manipulate the music in the moment to meet the client wherever they're at. And sometimes we get the opportunity to have a little fun with it and bring maybe something new to a situation, like the dulcimer. So I'm going to let you, Catherine, kind of explain how you would use this instrument and then share a little bit of the music with us.
Definitely. So the instrument I brought, like I said, I'm from Berea, Kentucky, a small town, and this instrument is an Appalachian folk instrument. So it is from the same town that I'm from. There's a elderly gentleman that lives in the town, and he's made these instruments his whole life. So the Appalachian Mountain dulcimer, the lap dulcimer, is here. For those of you watching, I'll hold it up. So this one is unique because I've been using this in an adult daycare setting, and we talked about that music is so important for connecting with people. And from that initial connection, whatever their specific healthcare goals are, we work from there. So the adult daycare group, they're very active. They love music. They love being involved, and for the most part are verbal and able to sing. But there's one woman in one of my groups who she's a bit restless. She wanders, but the time that she's most responsive is when I brought this instrument. And this is new for me to bring it to sessions. But what I have done is I set the instrument, the dulcimer, on their lap and help hold on to it just so it doesn't fall. And I set it on the lap of the senior that is going to play it. And we've been doing a topic of American heritage and American folk music along with their heritage. So we talk about important ways that music has been a part of their life and important memories. So I would put the dulcimer on the lap and sing some songs that are familiar. And for this woman that I'm describing that's normally wandering and doesn't answer any verbal questions to prompts, when we're singing and when I bring the dulcimer to her lap, she sings the song in completion, start to finish, while strumming the dulcimer. And it's really outstanding because she's never seen the instrument, never played it before. But for her, because like we talked about music and the brain, it's engaging her whole brain. She's thinking about what she's doing. So she plays and sings an instrument completely to a song. And then in general social interaction, she wanders and is distracted. So that's just an example of how her clinical goals of social interaction are met. So let's do a song on the Appalachian Mountain Dulcimer. One of the songs I've done in the group that she has sung and played is Down in the Valley. And we will sing a little bit of that so you can hear what the instrument sounds like. Down in the valley so low, hang your head over, hear the wind blow, hear the wind blow, dear, hear the wind blow, hang your head over. I love that. Thank you. So I wanted to bring this to talk about on the show because it's something that's so important when we're talking about music and the brain. We're not talking about musicians. We're talking about anyone, that every one of us is musical naturally. And because we have a heartbeat that's a rhythm, we need connection, and music facilitates connection. So this is an instrument that is accessible for people that are not musical at all. It's very easy to play, and we use it in sessions with seniors that need that interaction. And when they try something new, it's stimulating the cognitive function that is their primary goal of the adult daycare, is to increase cognitive function. So bringing in an instrument that's new for them, but they can easily play, is meeting their specific healthcare goals with something enjoyable and fun, like music.
You said already what I was going to wrap everything up with, which I love, is that it's that heartbeat. That's our rhythm. You know, when we walk into sessions, they say, "I'm not musical. I don't have any formal training." Put your hand on your heart. That's your rhythm. That's the first. Hearing is the first sense that's developed in the womb. It's the last sense we lose as we're dying. It's the first thing we hear is our mother's heartbeat, and the first thing we're born with. That's ours. That's our rhythm. So I love that you pointed that out. Thank you so much for everything that you shared with us today. Again, we covered a big topic in a short amount of time, so hope you'll come back and join us again. But again, Catherine Nielsen, founder of PBMTI, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and watching. We will see you next week. Have a wonderful week. Listening to Palm Beach Music Therapy Connections. We hope you enjoyed today's program and discovered new ways to bring music, art, and dance into your home or workplace. Please find a copy of today's show at pbmti.com. If you have any questions for our guest or myself, please email me at Bree, that's BREE, at pbmti.com, or call the Palm Beach Music Therapy Institute at 561-747-9944. Tune back in next week for an all-new live show. See you then.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly